Hi, so it's Cara, and today we're back with the first of my regular weekly updates. Let's see how long I can stick to it. I am challenging myself, and I'm making goals. Yeah. Okay, so today we're going to do, I guess we could call it a tag. It's not really a tag. I'm just going to talk about my 10 horrible bookish habits. Well, they're not all horrible, but my bookish habits. I'm sure I've seen somebody do this video around somewhere, something similar anyway. And I just want to talk about some of the things I know that I do that are weird, or maybe not everyone does, or that are kind of shamed upon a little bit. So let's get started. Number 1. I can only read one book at a time. Like, I've tried this having multiple books on the go thing. Personally, I don't understand. I can't do it. When I was 10, I had this thing where the idea of it totally rolled with me because I'd get 6 books for my birthday or Christmas, and I wanted to read all of them right then and there. So I would read one chapter from each, and then go back to the start, and read the second chapter of each. And this was, I don't think I ever finished any book doing it this way. Such a bad decision. I don't engage with the characters, like the plot, the characters, nothing really gets my attention because I'm switching between them so readily. And I never got anything read. I didn't like what I was reading, and then I would have to give up and just pick one of them anyway. I know this is an extreme. Like, if you were gonna read multiple things at once, you wouldn't read 6 things at once. But I just can't do it. If I don't push myself to finish a book, I'll never finish it. If I put it down halfway through, it's never going to get picked up again in like 10 years. There's some books like that. And I can't remember what's happened. I'm going to have to reread them from the very start. So, no, I can't do that. Number 2. I can't directly marathon series. I don't know what it is. I just can't. There's a bug. Get out of the way, bug. I can't directly marathon a series. I can't read 3 books from the same series in a row. Even 2 books from the same series in a row is really pushing it for me, unless it's the most amazing thing I've ever read. Harry Potter, I can marathon. Trying to think of anything else I've successfully marathoned. I kind of mostly marathoned Game of Thrones, but when I read the whole Game of Thrones series, I don't think I read much else at all for the whole year. So that wasn't particularly successful. I can't do it. Instead, I pre-plan my TBR so that if I want to read a whole series in a month, I'll read 1 book of the series, a book of something else, or another book of the series, and something else. Because I get bogged down in the world and I'm desperately looking for something next. Nearly always when I read, I'm looking for the next thing that I will be reading, and I'm constantly looking forward to the next thing. So when I'm stuck on the same thing for like more than a book, it sends me insane. So I can't do it. I just don't marathon anymore. It's not worth it. Number 3. I flick ahead to see how long the chapters are. And like I can, at the start of a book, I'll flick through the whole book to see how long the chapters are. And if there's chapter titles, I'll read that. But I will try and avoid reading any actual words on the pages because I don't want to spoil myself. But I still do it. I still flick through to the end to see how long the chapters are and how many chapters there are. And I use that as a way to pace my reading to see how far I've gotten based on how many chapters there are. I don't know why I don't use page count. I just don't. I use chapters. And I get kind of antsy when a book doesn't have good chapters. Like that they're too long, or they don't have them at all, or they're really short. It makes me antsy. It's weird. Number 4. I have a ton of series that I own every book of. The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini. The Last Dragon Chronicles by Krista Lacey. The Secrets of the Immortal Nicholas Flamel by Michael Scott. These are just examples. There's a lot. And in nearly every case, I read the first book and no others. And this is generally because when I was about 11, maybe, I got really into using my local library, which meant I read nothing of my own books. But that didn't stop me from book buying, which meant I suddenly developed a really big TBR pile that I didn't know how to deal with. And still, I want to read all these series. I have every book in them, and I've only read the first, sometimes the second one. So, I'm making that my goal for next year. I'm going to try and get some of those read, hopefully. That's on my list of goals. 5. I am really generous with rating books. I see other people read books, and they're like, oh, yeah, it was good. I can't think of any problem with it. 4 stars. To me, if I can't think of a problem with it, it's 5 stars. My benchmark is 5 stars and I work down, whereas I feel like a lot of other people's benchmark is 4 stars and then they work down and up. I don't know why, but of a month, probably most of the books I'll give 5 stars, rather than most of the books being 4 stars and the amazing ones getting 5 stars. I don't know, I just feel really generous. And then sometimes I'll go back afterwards and be like, oh, I don't really remember that being that good. Maybe I shouldn't have given it 5 stars. But at the time, I enjoyed it and it got 5 stars. I don't know. I feel like I should reevaluate how I rate books, but it always seems right at the time. So it probably would never happen. But most of my books that I read are rated 5 stars regardless. I am one of those people. Unless I can think of a genuine fault to bring it down, it's 5 stars. Number 6. I am a sucker for a really good cover. I work in a bookstore most of the time, like when I'm not at uni, well, even at uni sometimes, but when I'm working, for like, since I was like 15, I've always worked in a bookstore. That's been my job. And there's a thing that happens that everyone that works at bookstores has the same problem, that you walk past a book so many times and suddenly, regardless of its synopsis or its reviews, the cover is too good to resist. Like, everyone gets cover buys. I feel like everyone has that problem where a cover draws you in that much that you just want to get it anyway. But working at bookstores, when you see all the books all the time, makes that really difficult because you see all the gorgeous covers. There are many books I have bought just because the cover was that cool. I don't think I even read the back sometimes. I knew it was YA, I knew vaguely what it was about, as in, like, it is supernatural, or it is fantasy, which normally you can tell by the cover, kind of, and then I bought it. So, yeah, and I'm not the only one that I've worked with that has had this problem. It is widespread. It's like that when everyone says, when they first come to BookTube, they buy a lot of books. I never had that problem. I already bought a lot of books. Number 7. I enjoy all kinds of genres, which means that nearly anyone can recommend me something because there's something they've read that I will like, except maybe if they only read nonfiction, but even then, you could convince me, depending on what it is. So I take a lot of what I want to read based off what people have recommended to me, which means my want to read list on Goodreads is impossible to achieve. I'm never going to read all of them. It's impossible. And it also contributes to the fact that my TBR just gets bigger and bigger because someone says, oh, have you read this book? It's about blah blah blah. And that blah blah could be almost literally anything, and I would want to read it. Number 8. This is 8, yeah. My bookmarks always get super tattered because I stick them, when I pull them out of my book and I'm reading, I tuck them under my leg, and like just beside my leg, like not even properly under, I just stick it there for safekeeping, and then as I move around while I'm reading, it always ends up right under my butt. So I'm always sitting on my bookmarks, which means the edges get tatty, they get a crease in them. I never like to buy bookmarks that cost me money. Like, I like to get the free ones from the book depository and bookstores when I'm buying books, because then I don't feel bad when they get wrecked, because they inevitably get wrecked. Number 9. I can't. That's how you do 9, Cara. Don't try and put your pinky down. I am eventually going to put my back out because the most comfortable reading positions for me are ones where I'm super slouchy. I slouch in a couch with my knees up. I slouch in bed with my neck awkwardly twisted against the pillows in the back of the bed. I will slouch on a spinny chair Couches are probably the best because I spread out, but then if somebody else wants to sit on the couch, I then shuffle up, but I don't change the angle of my back. Essentially, I'm gonna have back problems from reading. It's inevitable, I am sure. And number 10. This is probably the most controversial, but I can't help it, okay? I can't. I crack spines. So first of all, I have to mention UK paperbacks normally have really solid spines, which means they're not floppy. American paperbacks, nice and floppy, great. UK paperbacks, not so floppy. And there's varying degrees of how floppy they are. A relatively floppy book will be fine. I won't crack that spine. But I have a thing where I need to be able to easily see the inside words, and if I can't, I make sure I can. Let me find some examples. These books, which is This Is Tomorrow When the War Began by John Marsden, which awkwardly has all its gold, pressings come off because when I read it, I was reading it like this and my hand was right there and I sweated it, and like here. These are relatively floppy. They've got quite a bit of flop to them. Not like totally floppy, but quite a bit of flop, which means I haven't done anything to the spine because I can, from where it will go, I can easily see the inside. Compare that to something like this crazy book, which is really hard to look at for too long, called Molly Moon's Incredible Book of Hypnotism by Georgia Byng. This one I have cracked the spine, but it's because, let's find a page where I haven't. For it to be comfortably spread out, it only gets to here. Any further and you're cracking spine. Here is not enough for me. I want to be able to fully spread it out and have it stay. So I crack spines. This one is relatively cracked. I didn't realize this was such a big problem until I joined BookTube. I was always like, oh yeah, they don't look so pretty, but whatever. They just show I've been read, and then I got here. You're all insane. So those are my 10 bookish bad habits. They're not really bad habits. Some of them are fine. My 10 bookish habits. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment down below any bookish habits you have that I may or may not share because I struggled to get to 10 for this video, let's be honest. And tell me all your bad habits down below. I'd love to see what you've got, and if you feel like it, do a video like this and send a link to me because I would like to see. And I will see you next week because I'm going to do weekly videos. This is the promise. I'll see you next week or before then if I've got something to review or something with another video. And thank you and goodbye.